Good morning, Chairman Graham, Ranking Member Feinstein, and distinguished members of the Senate Judiciary Committee. Thank you for the opportunity to testify and for your leadership on this critical, life-saving tool, extreme risk protection orders. My name is Kim Wyatt. I am a Senior Deputy Prosecuting Attorney from King County, Washington. For the past year, I have served as a firearms prosecutor in the Regional Domestic Violence Firearms Enforcement Unit, specifically as the Extreme Risk Protection Order prosecutor. My responsibilities are to advise and assist law enforcement and family members on all aspects of extreme risk protection orders, from the petitions to the court proceedings. And I can tell you this has been some of the most important and rewarding work of my career. You see, as a prosecutor, rarely, if ever, do we get the opportunity to intervene prior to the gun violence occurring. Instead, we react. We receive that incident report after the crime has occurred. My colleagues and I know we have few brief windows of opportunity to intervene to prevent future harm. This life-saving legislation creates one of those opportunities and allows much-needed intervention to prevent suicide, homicide, and other acts of community violence, while at the same time protecting people's constitutional rights with due process built in. Red flag laws or extreme risk protection orders allow family members and law enforcement who have seen those warning signs to come before a court and petition for a temporary order that prevents the at-risk individual from purchasing and possessing firearms. In 2016, Washington state voters overwhelmingly approved a citizens' initiative for our extreme risk protection order, passing by 69% of the vote. To understand what we've been doing in our state and the cases that I see every day, I need to tell you about some of the stories. These are stories of people who are at their lowest and most vulnerable points of life. The first story I want to share with you is about a case that we believe prevented a suicide. A woman filed an extreme risk protection order against her boyfriend as he had recently tried to commit suicide and wanted to purchase a firearm. At the extreme risk protection order hearing, they came in together. In fact, they were holding hands. The boyfriend or respondent had no objection to the extreme risk protection order and in fact expressed gratitude that somebody cared enough to make sure that he did not have access to a gun while he was in a crisis. We've also dealt with cases involving crimes of violence. Recently, in the end of January of 2019, police were contacted by a doctor who stated that they had a client who was making reference to a hit list. Specifically, the client or patient wanted to obtain a concealed pistol license and purchase a firearm. In reference to this hit list, he said, doing them harm was his duty. Law enforcement were able to intervene, obtain an extreme risk protection order, and during their investigation, they verified that the day that the respondent had made the comments to his therapist about the hit list was in fact the very same day that he went down to our local sheriff's department and applied for a concealed pistol license. Law enforcement were able to retrieve the concealed pistol license, file the extreme risk protection order, preventing this individual from being able to legally purchase a firearm in our state. We have also worked on cases involving threats to our schools, as evident by the recent tragedy at Stoneman Douglas High School and too many others. We have an ongoing responsibility to protect our children while attending school. In May of 2018, law enforcement in King County received a report about a student, this was a university student, that was making threats to kill other students. Specifically, he stated, "I could just kill you all. It would be easy to kill everybody." And then he went on to describe what firearms he would use to kill them. Law enforcement intervened, filed an extreme risk protection order, and then secured the firearm that he had to make sure he did not have access. Although all of these cases described above are factually different, there is a common thread. All involve someone experiencing a behavioral health crisis or exhibiting violent behavior and having access to firearms. What we have learned over the past year is that the time to act to prevent future tragedies is upon us. What we see in Washington state is that this law is working to save lives. Every state in this nation deserves to have this tool the ability to react quickly to threats of suicide and homicide and prevent irreversible violence. This is what the public expects and, most importantly, deserves. Thank you.